Today is known as Tax Day across the United States. Well, today it's Tax Cut Day in Minnesota. We have almost $500 million in tax cuts that are going to Minnesota families and businesses. That's right. That's something to be excited about too, right? And we have a couple of families here today who are beneficiaries of the reductions that the legislature and I made. So without further ado, I'll turn over to Commissioner Franz, and he can enlighten us from there.
Thank you, Governor. Well, good morning. As the Governor mentioned, today is Tax Cut Day for Minnesota. There's many middle-class Minnesotans and small businesses. What we wanted to do today is to give you the real show today are the families who are benefiting from these tax cuts. And so I just wanted to give you a quick, just a 1-minute update on where we are for filing and making these changes for these tax cuts that these families are benefiting from. Right now, we've completed all of the changes and adjustments on April 2nd, and people have been filing. We have about 2.2 million Minnesotans have filed as of last night. We have about 500,000 to go today, and some will come in a few days late, but we have about 500,000 to go. And we're really fortunate that people are filing on time. We have 92% of people have filed electronically thus far. 80% of people are receiving direct deposit refunds. So the key is file today, obviously. If you can't file today, file an extension with the IRS. That will also work for the Minnesota Department of Revenue. If you've already filed, as I mentioned before, we'll review your returns and see if anything needs to be adjusted, and we'll contact you in the future if we need to. So one of the things that we really wanted to do was, in terms of passing these tax cuts, they were passed on March 21st. The governor signed the bill on March 21st. On March 28th, we completed the internal changes. On April 2nd, we made all the changes permanent, and the software providers did. So today, we're joined by several Minnesota families who benefit from these 2013 tax cuts. They're all listed over here on the board. But I first of all want to introduce Mark and Janet Zuzik. They're teachers. Mark is a principal, and Janet is a special ed teacher. They have 2 kids in college and 1 who's graduating from high school, Alex. Over here, they're wrong side. There we go, Alex. Yeah, I don't think Isaac and Hattie are quite ready. They look pretty smart though. So we have the Zuziks that are here, and thanks to the Zuziks, they're able to deduct tuition charges for their daughters who are both in college and are on their way here today. Actually, we have some been able to save them some taxes because they're able to deduct the tuition deductions. And also Katie, their daughter, who's a senior in college, will graduate this year, and she'll have the benefit of paying off those loans next year, and she'll be able to deduct the interest from those loans next year. But I'd like to introduce Mark right now. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Mark Suzik. I'm a principal in Hastings. I just want to thank the governor and the legislature for passing the middle class tax cuts. This is a big deal to our family. We're able to save some money, which of course is going to go straight to tuition. But for us, it will be a savings of $160 per year because of the tuition program. And it will also, beginning next year in the 2014 year, it will also save us approximately $200 a year because of the middle class tax cut that eliminates the marriage penalty. And of course, you know that college is expensive. I'm very proud to say that all 3 of my kids are intending to be teachers. Katie, who will graduate in May, will be an elementary teacher. Hopefully she'll get a job right away, if anybody's out there hiring teachers. And my daughter Abby will graduate in a year and a half as a music education teacher, and my son Alex will be beginning college next year at St. Mary's, and I'll have Alex share with you what his plans are. My son Alex.
Hi, I'm Alex, and as you heard, I'm planning to go to St. Mary's University down in Winona next year. I'm a senior at Hastings High School right now, and this tax cut is going to benefit me as well as my family, as my dad said, in paying for tuition and stuff. That we'll have some extra money for that, and then as well as when I graduate and I'm starting to pay off those loans, that'll help me there too. So I approve. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mark and Janet and Alex, for your dedication to teaching and also your dedication to higher education. I'd now like to introduce Christy and Aaron Norman. They received about $10,000 in adoption assistance from their employer last year to adopt, and they found out that because Minnesota did not have the adoption expense conformed to, they were going to owe $800 in state income tax. But because of this conformity provision passed this year, just on March 21, they will not have to pay that state income tax on that adoption assistance they got from their employer. So I'd like to have Aaron come up for a moment and say a few words.
So last year we adopted our daughter in January, and in mid-year we found out that we were going to need to pay taxes on some of those monies, and we had raised a lot of monies to try to help pay for adoptions. Adoptions are expensive, so we were surprised to know that we were going to have to pay more taxes on some of the monies we received from our employer. But we were so thankful to hear about the changes made this year that were made in the legislature. It was a wonderful thing that they did to make these monies provided by my employer tax-free. So we were very thankful.
I'll be done. Thank you very much, Aaron and Christy and Isaac and Hattie. It's really great to have you here. We just want you to know that we are so happy that they were willing to share their stories with us, and I'll let the Governor Dayton close out the remarks.
Well, Abby and Isaac can leave whenever they like. I'll probably go along with them, and the rest of you can stay if you like. But no, thank you please don't need to stay around. It doesn't work that way. Thank you very much for coming. Really, really appreciate your being here. You've got two great kids, and I'm glad they're tax-free for the time being. Yeah. So you can talk. They have two kids in college. If you want to talk about what the future holds for them.
Well, we have more questions for the Normans if they would like to answer. Governor.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm sorry?
Could we ask the Normans?
Yeah, by all means. Yeah, by all means.
Question? Sorry to take you away from there.
No, I was going to take them away from you.
Tell us what it's like to adopt children, and you mentioned that it's difficult and expensive, but did you expect that and then get hit with a bill?
We didn't. Yeah, we didn't expect, as far as taxes, you mean, goes?
Yeah, the whole process, pull them up.
Yeah. Want to see? Here we go. So, yeah, you never know. Both our children were born here in the U.S., and we had no idea. We knew the expenses, what they might be for the actual adoption. But as far as the taxes goes, that was not something we were aware of. So it actually they didn't exist. They weren't there when our son was born, so that's why we didn't expect them when our daughter was born.
And with adoption, as much as it is a blessing, it is expensive, and every time you turn the corner, you feel like you're writing out another check to another agency, and you're happy to do it, but sometimes you don't have the money, so that's where it's been awesome to have family and banks that support you. But as you get a little sticker shock, I guess, as you keep writing out the checks, and then in the end you bring home a beautiful baby and you forget about the money. So I think the reason the tax thing was a little shocking to us is because we had forgotten about the money, we had paid it all off, and we were really grateful, and then we just looked forward to being done with the expense portion of the adoption.
Well, how's your family doing? You look very busy.
We are busy. Yeah,
sorry, we're from Rochester, so we had an hour-and-a-half drive, and so sorry, our kids are a little stir-crazy right now.
They want to run.
They want to run and take your cameras and help you.
Let me ask you this, how much were you able to save because of this latest tax cut?
Yeah, it was between $700 and $800 that we were not paying in taxes. So yeah, that's a good question. And one thing I wanted to just point out with Christy is, some of the costs with adoption are actually very similar to having a baby born in a hospital. They average around $20,000. And so in medical expenses, those things are reimbursed through your medical insurance. And through adoption, unfortunately, those things are not always reimbursed, and so you have to raise that money on your own.
Maybe a little bit of a personal financial question, but with the $700 or $800 of savings you're going to get off of this, I don't know if that's in terms of a rebate that you're getting, but
how are you planning to spend that? Are you going to save it? You're going to put it into a college fund for your children? Or?
So we're actually not getting any money. This is just money that's tax exempt. So the $10,000 that we received from my employer, that money is just not going to be taxed as income. So that's what's happening. We're not getting a credit or a refund or anything. It's just being tax-free. So that money that we're saving from paying in taxes, I think college is expensive right now, as these people shared over here. So we need some time to start saving for that.
But it saves us, the money now that we don't have to come up with another $800, to tax on or to add on to the expenses of what he's saying.
Thank you.
Question for the student? So how are you going to pay for college?
Well, so far what I'm thinking is I'm obviously going to have some loans and stuff. My parents are going to cover an amount. I have a pretty good portion of it covered with the scholarships, both academic and some leadership and some music and stuff. So with scholarships, some from my parents, and then the rest I'm probably going to have to take out loans on and stuff. So.
Does that make you nervous a little bit?
Some, but I don't know. I don't worry too much in general about anything, so I haven't thought about it too much, but I'm sure someday I will be far more worried than I am today about it.
You sound like my son.
Any other questions for the families? Great, thank you all for joining us.
You did good there, Jimmy. Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions then on this subject or anything else? Thank you very much for being here. Thanks for coming from Hastings, and thank you for coming from Rochester. Rochester with 2 children your age, that is a real act of devotion. Thank you.
Commissioner France, do you have an update on the notification process and timing for those who had filed but may be getting an additional amount back?
Yeah, for all those folks who filed before April 2nd, before we made the form changes, before the software was changed, so if you filed before April 2nd, all you need to do is wait at this point. We ask you not to do anything, and what the department's going to do is we're going to do a 3-step process. We'll go through all the returns that we think qualify, and we'll adjust those returns if we can, send the refund. Then number 2, for those returns we can adjust, we need more information, we'll contact the taxpayer by letter, ask for the information, and then make the adjustment and refund. The final category, number 3, is for those folks who we need to have them file an amended return. We are now, just as today is the final day of filing, once we complete this day, in the next week or so, we will do another update about how many files and how many returns we think are in those different batches, and at that point we're going to be able to give a date by which we can tell you you'll be notified, but we want to study how many returns are there first.
Commissioner, have other people's refunds been impacted at all by the changes you made, and people who weren't in line for some of these tax breaks, has that altered how quickly refunds are going out the door?
Not yet. As of last night, the average turnaround for an electronically filed return was 7 days for the refund to be received by the taxpayer, and that's been true throughout the last month or so. That has not been affected. It's about a little over 2 weeks for a paper return to get a refund. So as of last night, that turnaround has not been affected for the refunds going out.